That's our framework that we always work within. It's a tried and trusted and proven framework for any marketing strategy. Everything slots under here. So let's look at audience first of all. Audience. Who is your audience? You need to, by now, have a very clear idea as to who your audience is and why they are that audience. In other words, what are their problems and challenges that you are best served, best suited with your experience, your knowledge, and in fact, the services that you offer to serve. So who and why, and how do you help them? What do you do that's different than all the other people that do what you do? How are you standing out? We talked about how branding might help that, but it's down to, I suppose, your reputation. What are you building your reputation on? What is particularly special about you? You need to answer those things when you're in front of an audience, because they're not going to be too sure. They're going to just see you as a photographer, a coach, maybe a funeral director. So we need to be talking to exactly the right audience. And you can have different audiences for different services. I suppose Rod has an audience of people that are suddenly in a stress situation and are bereaved. Others are wanting to care for their future for various reasons. So they may be a funeral planning audience. So there's the first question. The next question you've got to ask yourself is, where do you find them? Where are they? What are they paying attention to? How do you grab their attention? Very, very key indeed, those. Because we've discussed earlier that the audience is always distracted. They're getting on with their lives. They're seeing so many messages, so many pitches, especially at networking events where everybody does their 1 minute and they're really there to try and get business, usually from people in the room. So how do you get them to lean in and talk to you especially? What is it you say? What is it you do? What is it you show them? What are your headlines? What are your email headlines, depending on how you're reaching out to them? Because we need to know who our audience is, what challenges and problems that we're going to solve for them that they know or maybe don't know they have, and how we're going to grab their attention and get them to lean in. That sums up audience, I think. The next is, once they've leaned in, is that engagement, that rapport, those conversations. And sadly, too many people, nobody here, of course, but so many people on things like LinkedIn, they don't even ask people to lean in. They lead with a pitch. The number of messages I get, which are obviously automated, with a complete review of what they do and how they can help me. And I get it from Indian software developers as well, graphic designers and web designers, etc., who email me and tell me what they can do for me without knowing whether I want anything done. And then they send me another email to say, you didn't answer my first email. So the conversation that one has got to be a conversation. It's somehow, you may think you know that that's what they want. They might even have leaned forward and told you that they know what they want. But it's very important to have that engagement, that rapport. So where do you engage? First of all, is it that you're marketing from your website? Is it a landing page? And there's a big difference between a website and a landing page. And the difference is simply that a website has got everything around the sides and the top to distract them. And people are easily distracted. Or if you want to have a straightforward conversation about one thing, you'll have a landing page, which is a website, is a web page without any of those distractions. It's keeping them focused. Are you engaging with people on LinkedIn? How are you doing that? And there are techniques that you can use for that and that can interrupt conversations. I did that with Candice. And in turn, after a while, Duncan reached out to me and we chatted, and then we ended up on on a call, and then we've ended up having a really great lunch at a place called Corton Denham, the Queen's Arms. Excellent. Are you engaging with people by email? Is it email marketing? Is it combinations of that and a phone call, and then maybe a face-to-face nowadays in a live situation, or on a Zoom call? I always believe, being a people person, that a face-to-face over a coffee or a lunch is by far the best. You can get to know about the person, etc. But next to that, I'm now always default to a Zoom call. Is it at a networking event that you're developing rapport? Do you find time to do that before the meeting, after the meeting, or do you meet people at a networking event and decide to reach out to some of those people to have a Zoom or afternoon, another conversation afterwards? They're all part of an engagement strategy. The next part of that is how you conduct that. And I must admit, when I first joined BNI years ago, I thought that one-to-one was my opportunity to pitch. I hate pitches. Nobody wants to be pitched to. Forget pitches, start conversations. And the conversations, as far as I go, is I'm interested in the person. I'm interested in their backstory. I'm also interested in just probing a little bit and qualifying where they're up to see whether I can help them, either unpaid or paid. That's what you should be doing. But it's also about building relationships. So whatever the outcome of that, and 82% of conversations like that, a sale won't happen until 82% of sales take place after the seventh touch. So if you have that in mind, if you suddenly person says, right, how much do you charge? Where do I send the money? Then that's great. But generally, that's not what happens. Generally, it's 6, 7, 8 touches or more, depending on what's at stake. So when you're building that relationship, what are you looking to do? What's next? Because otherwise, you'll have the conversation and you'll be left there and you'll think, what's next? And that's why you get so many conversations that end there and that's it. So what is next? What do you want them to do? Do you want to send them something? Do you want to go back and review what their challenges are and give them a proposal? Do you want to just introduce them to somebody that could help them based on the conversation that you've had? All that builds relationships. So what next and where do you send them? And this leads to the other question: how are you staying organized? Where are you capturing this data? And what are you doing with it? How are you using it? I know Rod is meticulous because he's old school. He has a big A4 diary. He has sheets in the back of his funeral business. He's got targets. They're not targets for funerals.
It's a scoreboard.
Scoreboard. He records, he knows exactly every day, every month, how he's doing against where he was or wherever. So he's not targeting people. He's not going to need somebody to boost his figures. But how are you staying organized? I mean, some people will do it in their diary, but frankly, you've got to forget that. You might want to transfer certain diary dates to a paper diary, but where are you capturing this data? If you're going to build your audience, if you're going to build your network, if you're going to stay in touch with people, you can't do it all with a diary. You've got to have some automated system. And you've got to decide, what on earth am I going to do with it? I'm going to go back to that in a minute as to what you could do with it. So the next area is, of course, the sale itself. And that means that you have a sales process that you know, you just go for a straightforward, would you like to do business with me? Or do you have some teasers that bring people in? Do you have a portfolio of services to be able to provide services and therefore sales at different levels? Maybe on an automated level, whereby you're bringing people into a workshop. I know Zoisa does that with her fitness and movement business, and she'll have a number of people on a call, so they can pay less because the number of people are amortizing her expenses and and making that profitable, and people can come into that. But some of those people will want personal one-on-one specialized training, specialized treatment. I know Chris in his massage service, and he gave me a tremendous massage last week. He does one-on-one services, but now he's branching out into being able to provide education and training so that some people maybe from different countries can use his expertise to show them how they can massage themselves. So that's something. Most people start out with one sale, but very quickly realize that their clients need other things. Of course, pricing, we had a fascinating session on pricing. And I don't know if anybody's looked at their pricing again, but that was really was good. But deciding on your pricing is more to do with determining what quality of client you want, and what, I shouldn't have said quality, what type of clients do you want, and what sort of service levels that you really would prefer to be doing. And pricing may include payment terms. Obviously, it includes profitability. And in sales, I think also you've got to think, do you have a promotional calendar? Are there certain things you can do at certain times? Most people go from sales back to more introductions and more prospecting, etc. But we've decided on a number of occasions that a retention strategy is critical, because the distance between turning a stranger into a client is far longer than turning a client that knows how good you are into a repeat client. So having a retention strategy is very important. So therefore, the question I've always got to ask is, what is your after-sale follow-up? We said, what's your after no-sale follow-up? I know there was how you're going to continue the conversation, but after somebody sells, what is your follow-up? Do they need onboarding? Do they need to understand a bit more? Because what you're doing is you're going to work with somebody. I know that Marcus is doing a fashion shoot with yours truly on Thursday. So I've slimmed down for the occasion so I can get into my suits. But one of the things that I'm not sure whether he does, but on Thursday, we're going to go through a wardrobe, and he knows what he's going through. I don't. So maybe after you've agreed a sale with somebody, you say, right, we're going to do this shoot. These are the things you could do ahead of time. Have a haircut, trim down, whatever. I don't know what there would be, but that could be a good thing to help the occasion. But after the occasion, what is your after sale follow-up? How are you doing it? I've put the question there, how did we do? That's always a good thing. I know that Amazon, you see, brilliant. It'll teach you all about marketing if you're an Amazon Prime client, because I buy stuff and then 3 or 4 days later, a week later, I get how was it? Would you like to rate it? I know Rod uses this to great effect. I mean, he's got a tremendous, I think he's vying with somebody in Yeovil now, but how many reviews have you got, Rod?
Just under 60.
60 reviews. The most established funeral director in Wales has got 3. Who are you going to go to if you've got a decision? People that are singing Rod's praises, you're just 3 of them. So how did we do? So reviews, etc. Testimonials. How are we using testimonials? Are we using them? Because that's what somebody else is saying about you that you want to share. Everybody's talking about you behind your back. You want to make sure that it's based on your reputation for being sound, good, of value, etc. But a testimonial is what you want to use, because that's somebody telling other people that you don't know how good you are. And we're all influenced by testimonials. We look for those when we're looking to book a hotel, for instance. So testimonials and reviews, how are you doing those? And therefore, back to the data.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
No. Do you know what? My watch has recorded everything I've said. I think Mossad have got their listening out for me. Staying in touch. What is the sequence? And everything I've said here, especially when it comes to data and interaction, you can't do it with a diary. You drive yourself mad. You've only got a limited amount of time. So you've got to automate all of this stuff. You've got to have the personal touch, but you need to automate it so that, you know, an email goes out or a text goes out at certain times. So what is your stay in touch sequence? It can't be a diary. Certainly, this is where good CRM systems can do that. Of course, you can send out a broadcast to people after you know, to your regular clients, and your diary could tell you to do that. But every client has used different services and have got different ways of, you know, different conversations you've had. So you might tag those to send somebody. You wouldn't want to send information out to people about a funeral plan if the first connection was the fact that you just buried their husband or wife. Stay in touch could also include phone. And certainly for your best clients, regular phone call is very, very important. And you might need assistance for that. You may not have time to do that, but that's no excuse. Use a freelancer. The telemarketing people are not there just to sell. They can take on the role of reaching out to somebody with a phone call, say, I'm working with Duncan at the moment, and I just wanted to check how you were with so-and-so, so-and-so. So retention, what is your retention strategy? And so how are you staying in touch and how often? And different clients, different referral partners you want to stay in touch with, for instance. And I'm going to come into that next, because you're retaining clients. They're the best people to recommend you to other people. Introductions, some people, we commonly call them referrals. I prefer introductions. Who do you want an introduction to? So that is, who are you asking for introductions or referrals? Who are you asking? When are you asking them? How are you asking them? And what are you asking for? That could be one which we'll want to develop a little bit further. Again, you might be asking people for testimonials or reviews. Are you offering an incentive or a reward? Have you ever considered that? I mean, I know a lot of companies do things like that, and people are prepared to do that. It draws, you know, you could do a promotion that could fit in. I know from experience, sometimes people don't want to recommend something. They want to recommend from their heart and their experience. They don't want to feel as if they're selling somebody and don't want to feel as if it's right to pay them. But that doesn't mean to say you can't reward them. Because an unexpected reward, as I showed you last week with the Dub t-shirt, flask, etc., carries even more weight. See, when you've got a birthday, you expect a birthday card, and maybe when you're younger, you expect a present. I just welcome food parcels nowadays. But when you get an unexpected thank you, an unexpected gift, something that arrives out of the blue you weren't expected, it carries so much more weight. Do you have something like that to reward your referral partners? Or do you just do it on a reciprocal basis? Because there's a reciprocity, oh, I can never say it. You know what I mean, reciprocity or something like that. In other words, it's that psychological factor that if somebody does something for you, you almost feel obliged to give something back. That was the basis of BNI, that you're giving something back to somebody. And that's how those referral partnerships can continue. And the final question is, exactly who are your referral partners that you're developing meaningful relationships with and stay in touch with people on a regular basis? That, to me, if I was doing when I do networking, when I'm networking, and I'll be doing it on Thursday because I'm covering for Vivian Simpson in a meeting, I'm looking at that meeting for potential referral partners. Potential referral partners. No, I'm not looking for anybody on that group to sell to them. I'm looking for referral partners. A referral partner could give you so much business instead of one person giving you a piece of business. So that's that. I'm going to stop the share.